So now the Po is really about attachment and letting go. So metal, we know, is about refinement. It's to refine and to let go. So when we breathe in oxygen, we're breathing in life. But then very quickly after we breathe in, we have to breathe out expired life, which is carbon dioxide, right? So metal is about refinement. It's about our values, refining our values, and also letting go. In other words, letting go of the things that are low on our values. And because it's the corporeal soul, it's about the skin. Skin is governed by the lungs. And the very first touch between you and someone else is through the skin. So it's about sensitivity or being overly sensitive, especially to touch when you get a reaction, or it could be if metaphysically and emotionally about boundaries, right? So this is about the lung. Now, grief is a very common scenario here for hypofunction of the corporeal soul, which can then turn into hyper when grief turns into anger. So let me talk to you a little bit about grief. So the word grief comes from the word gravis, which actually means to bear down or to feel heavy, like weight. And because the Po is all about the animal soul, so it's the instinctive and impulsive desire to grab something, to attach to it, to hold it, right? Or to avoid it. This is also about our innate feelings. The somatic feelings that we perceive is missing. So remember before I said, when we perceive something is missing, it's in the animal level, because at the level of the spirit soul, nothing is missing. So when we have things that are missing in us, these holes that are missing, that we believe that we didn't get them early on in life, right? Certain experiences, those become voids, which then become the values, so that you can take actions to go and find them in order to fulfill them. So as an example, if a couple is trying to have kids and they can't have kids, the void is that they're missing a child because they want to have a child. The values become everything around kids. Their shopping, the magazines, the doctors, everything they read, the documentaries. It's probably all about how to become fertile and pregnant, right? So those become extrinsic values. So the whole notion of grieving, right, even though it's part of the 7 emotions, it's normal. We're talking about disordered grief or long grief attachment, which causes problems. The whole notion of grief is attaching to that which you perceive is lost, right, which is material. Now, this is really important because most people are very uncomfortable around grief. And of course, some people take this as a point of empowerment and they overcome their grief. Some people go into the grief more so because they feel like it's hurting them. So when people come into your life, the lung yin binds the chemical threads, as Leon Hammer says, which is the chemistry that you feel between you and someone else. That's the lung yin. But every time you have a binding situation in the lung yin, the lung yang is trying to expand you beyond that bind to let go, right? Because the nature of qi in Chinese medicine and the laws of physics, basically the first laws of thermodynamics, the nature of qi energy is that nothing is ever created or lost. It is only transformed. The form is different, but it's not lost or gained. Energy is not lost or gained. It just keeps transforming. So grief happens when we are attached to that which we perceive as lost, which is the material form of that person or that pet, or the material representation of the job that I'm grieving that I lost, for example, right? That's why it's called heavy, because the bind was so strong. The lung yin is trying so hard to bind it. But with every breath coming in and letting go, the lung yang is trying to help you beyond that bind so that you can let go. This is a natural chemical thing that's happening in your body, an anatomical thing that's happening in your body. Instinctively, it's happening. But our emotions get in the way, and then we just want to hold, and we don't want to let go. And of course, that disturbs the qi, essentially causes a constriction of the corporeal soul, as the Neijing chapter 8 says. It constricts the corporeal soul, which causes lung qi stagnation, which can cause things like breast lumps.